Okay, hello. This is Minky from Two Brave Puffins, and today we have the other puffin, who is my husband and also DM. What do you want to be called? Are you William or are you Aranox or Will?
Yeah, I guess on the Discord you'd see me as Aeronox, but yeah, my name's Will.
So
Yeah.
we just wanted to talk a little bit about the Corverus that I made because we've been talking to each other about it and had some
Oh yeah.
neat ideas of what it is and how it came to be. So I'm putting this with my sketching and drawing and figuring out what this creature is. When I initially did it, um, all that I had was a little list of things that I wanted to make monsters about, uh, which had like
Concepts.
depression and anxiety and stuff like that. Things that the horror that everybody knows in their daily life, and I wanted to personify them in a sort of creature. So this one was initially just going to be about depression, but then when I was drawing all those practice crows that have just flown by, I was like, I don't want to just have one head. I like lots of these heads. And then I naturally became, what if it had three heads like a Cerberus? So then I thought, well, lots of these things come together and they all interact with each other a lot. So you'd
Yeah,
be depressed, you're anxious with it,
they reinforce
and
each
kind of
other.
anger. Yeah. So that's what this creature was meant to embody. And I add in a little bit like this oily oozing of it, which it's to me was meant to be like the depression, how it clings to you and it weighs you down. It just
Yeah.
makes you feel awful generally.
Burdens you.
So,
A big
yeah,
theme going forward.
yeah. So then Will is the one who statted it up. I do the pretties and say, this is what this is, you make it work. And then he made it work. Hopefully. We haven't actually play tested it, so.
In theory, it works in theory. I don't know, I guess the mystery element of it would be gone if we introduced it at our table, because you know exactly what it is. But yeah,
Yeah, but
hopefully it does work.
I could cope with it. Yeah, so well you say how did you come up with what it would do?
I guess like the first thing I do when I think about what like a monster should be able to do is I look at its, physical traits. So that's easy. It has three heads. That means it can bite you three times in a turn. And it has some talons, and that means, it can have a talon attack as well. I noticed it's pretty bulky, so I don't think it'd be able to fly very well. So I went ahead and gave it a limited flight feature, which it can use to do like a charge of sorts and hit somebody with their talons and grapple them down. And that's all the physical stuff. And then I went with like the themed attacks, the meat of the flavor of this creature. I went with having, because it's like surrounded by these little shadows and all this goop, I decided it should have some passive effects connected to all this, and then some active effects. One is kind of a poison or aura, and the other is more like a dragon's breath. I took the concepts like depression, how it weighs you down, stuff like that, and I did my best to convert them into mechanics, I guess.
Yeah, so we wanted to make sure that the if you come up against this monster, you get that feeling of dread and like you're just basically your character's going to have an awful time because that's what D&D is all about, right?
Yeah, the character's having a horrible time, and the players probably having a good time,
Hopefully, yeah.
depending on how salty they are.
So yeah, that's what another reason why we thought that maybe as well as having physical damage, it would be doing psychic damage. So
Yeah.
it's not just this talon slashing at your chest. It feels like it's rending your whole soul apart, like when something just awful happens and you just don't know how you can cope with it. We want this creature would do that to you as well as attacking you.
Yeah, like in addition to that, it was pretty difficult to restrain myself from adding riders onto all the attacks to be like, well, the talons will, in addition to doing psychic damage, they will make you sad as well, or, piss you off, or having some sort of save effect. It'd be very much in theme, but I definitely felt like the monster would get too complicated and too busy. So, that psychic damage, if you're running this creature, maybe do a good job to like narrate what it is doing that psychic damage, what thought.
Yeah. And I feel like that's something if your group is quite roleplay heavy, that they'll just embrace that and go with that. Like in our group, if our Matt, our Dragonborn, got hit by it, he would definitely narrate his character then being affected by those emotions and flavoring whatever happens with his dice rolls as consequences of that. So it leaves you room to use that if that's what you're into, and if you're more just combat heavy, you don't have to go into all of those emotions if you don't want to. But hopefully, if you're using this, then it's something people will enjoy.
Yeah. As far as like actually running it, we ultimately decided that it's, it is not very like smart. It doesn't have much. It is like a monster. There's not much planning involved with this guy.
I definitely wanted it to be a creature of instinct and not intelligence, because it's not like depression or any other mental health issue picks its target. It can
Yeah.
happen to anyone. It's whoever it sees. Whenever someone's at that weak moment in their life, it'll wriggle its way in
Yeah. And
and
the
peck at you.
ways that these things affect other people around you aren't necessarily like, not targeted either.
Yeah,
Plus
yeah.
the aesthetic of a giant three-headed mostly flightless crow, to me it's kind of like a weird like perversion of the crow or raven archetype. Usually we think of them as like smart and mysterious, and this thing is
Wise,
pretty
yeah.
upfront.
That wasn't intentional, but it's true that you lose a lot of what you are capable of when you have this sort of monstrous thing on your back, where
Yeah.
your brain doesn't work like it used to. You can't do all the things you want to or you're capable of because in this moment you're not. So I guess that is a reflection of that too.
It's also important to mention like the context of in our idea, like this creature isn't suffering from these things, it is these things, so it's not a
Yes.
it probably isn't like a tragic creature, like the Corvus
Well,
itself.
that's a good point, because we were thinking about some lore. Obviously, you can run this however you want, but we were thinking about where would this have come from? Where would this have been created from? Will quite liked the idea of it was a punishment for 3 Kenku or something like that.
A punishment for 3 mischievous Kenku who stole something from an unseelie fae, which I still quite like, but your idea that we'll probably talk about next I think is quite good as well.
Well, what I was thinking was that, um, because to me, this is like a manifestation of those 3 properties: depression, anxiety, and anger. Um, so I was thinking, what if it came from some sort of creature where that was their thing? They manifested stuff, whatever
Yeah.
it is. So you very much liked the Fey angle, so some sort of, and at that time, some sort of Seelie Fae, and they probably just, thought about a feast and it appeared in front of everybody's eyes, or some sort of very instant magic kind of thing going on where they could just manifest these things, conjure things just by thinking
Yeah.
about them. But then something tragic, bad, or just it just happened to her. Something triggered this change in her. Probably a betrayal, I was thinking, because that always cuts very deep.
Mm.
Something tragic. And then because she was feeling all these feelings, uh, then what normally happened was, everything that she felt or thought manifested around her in beautiful and jolly ways. When her thoughts turned darker, they manifested this oppressive aura around her that just fed on itself and got worse and worse until she became the Corverus. So she's literally manifested this creature around her, and that's all she is now. It's consumed her, and she
Mhm.
can't escape from it.
Yeah.
And it's just, following its instincts now and spreading it to everybody else.
So I guess it is in it, like if you go with that, it is in a way kind of a pitiable creature, but its current form doesn't belie that. There's
Yeah,
like if
that's the
I
hidden secret at the heart
yeah,
of it.
I feel like if your players get that, that's something they worked hard for, to discover, and maybe there's a way to
Yeah.
save her, maybe not.
Yeah, because that was one of the things you were talking about, wasn't it? That they,
Yeah.
and I suggested the way it might have happened was that someone who knew this creature before she was the Corverus wanted to let her rest, let her be at peace, that she couldn't find herself in this new form, and sealed her away somehow uh, with, don't disturb this tomb. Not dead because we don't think it can die
I
unless you.
certainly, yeah. I like the idea of it. The only way to defeat it permanently is to break the curse somehow. But if you
Mm.
kill it, it just comes back some other time, you know?
So perhaps there's some sort of relic that's guarding it and keeping it at peace, and some unfortunate soul found it, picked it up, looked at it, was like, "Oh, don't disturb this. Don't disturb what?" And rifled through it, and then they had this relic. Which, what did you think it would do?
Well, I like the idea of the relic being a little like figurine that's carved in. It can either be carved in the shape of the Corvus or in the shape of the Fae who is now the Corvus. Either way, I think the idea
Hmm.
is that like the
Maybe
original,
combining the two.
yeah, the original idea might have been that like this could seal her away or make her calm, but like I feel like its primary use these days would be some way to control it. So I feel like
Okay, how about
it's a
this?
good
I
way to
think
hook that into the real, well, the non-Fey world, I guess.
it was created because they wanted to break the curse, but the most they could ever get it to do was to calm it so it would sleep.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
and but it does have a level of control over them, so it can be controlled by someone bad, or if the party gets it, maybe also bad, but hopefully for good, or maybe they can get it to go back to sleep, or maybe they have someone or have an NPC they know that's so advanced with magic that they can figure out how to actually use it
yeah,
to break the curse.
yeah. There's probably
So
some kind
yeah, I
of
think there's some
ritual.
nice hooks in there.
Real quick, I liked the idea of I like the idea of you can control it with this figurine or whatever it is, but in order to control it perfectly, you have to be like free of all those emotions, which is, essentially impossible, which is how it always goes wrong.
Oh, and that's why it never works.
Yeah, but like if somebody can find a way to be completely free of those, they can
Like
control the
if
thing.
someone has a construct or something.
Yeah. And yeah, perhaps
And maybe it's always attracted to it as well. So if you have it and you haven't figured out how to use it, the Corvus is always chasing you down
yeah, exactly. That's why I was thinking it'd
and
be
trying to infect you with those feelings.
yeah. I was thinking it would be neat if the item itself, the figurine, had powers that like are obviously like thematically connected to the Corvus, but you know its only power isn't just to control it. So that if you're the kind of DM that likes to torture your players with this kind of stuff, you can make it an appealing item to keep around, even
uh,
even up to the point where they're like, "Gee, this thing keeps attacking us. Should we? Maybe it's related to this figurine that looks exactly like it." You know.
like exactly what you did.
Yeah, and
So
even if it's a good hook, I think, because even if you
so
get
it's the
rid of it,
risk reward, yeah.
yeah, even if
Where
you
will you
get rid
get
of
rid
it,
it
there's
to?
no, yeah,
You know that it's going to be coming after whatever you give it to or whoever finds it.
yeah, because it doesn't just stick around the figurine either. Like it's attracted to it. It knows where it is, but like if you leave it alone, it'll
It's not
just
the
go.
only thing it's going to do. Yeah.
It'll go jack up the countryside.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I like it.
so you have
I
to,
like it.
if you're a people of good conscious, conscience, you have to, you have to figure it out
Mm.
in
Or
some
use it
way.
for evil.
Yeah, that too.
Um, the one other thing I don't know if you remember now because it was a long time ago when we talked about this. We were going to talk about if you wanted to beef it up and make it a bit tougher,
Yeah,
having it have legendary actions and this kind of thing too. Oh,
yeah,
I remember one of them. It was the slimes, the oozes that come off it that aren't in this picture now, but they do exist. Maybe I can pop it up on the screen here. Can
yeah.
you remember what you thought about that?
So the oozes, I think, like you illustrated them just so there's a reference, really. And like originally, without beefing this guy up at all, I think they're just a manifestation of the magic, like kind of like a status effect that you can put on people. and this is just a way to show it. But if you want to beef the Corvverus up, perhaps whenever it takes damage or on like every initiative count 20, maybe some of its little oil slicks coming off of its like wings and stuff drops into one of these oozes and it becomes a little ooze monster with stats. Um,
Mm. Oh yeah, I remember
maybe
now. We were talking about maybe like if they don't do damage, which they might do, but if they don't, then maybe just when they get to a player, it slows their speed by half, and then another one by half again, and another one they're immobilized.
yeah, or if
That
you
sort of thing.
maybe yeah, maybe they cast the slow spell if you feel like dealing with another spell effect. It could be all sorts of
Mm.
stuff. I do like the idea of if they pile on you, you can become permanently like,
Yeah.
you're
Well,
dead meat essentially.
for those that have played Guild Wars 2, which is probably quite niche, I don't know. I played it a lot, but I don't know how many other people did that also play D&D and listen to this. But there was the Carcass in, I can't remember the name of the place. I want to say South Shore, but that's wrong. Little crab things that climb on you. If you look at Guild Wars 2 Carcass, they the more they get on you, the slower you go, and
Yeah.
they just stick to you. So I can see the ooze is doing that, and maybe it has a different effect that like when there's so many on you, you become consumed by it, and maybe you have either the despair and you can't do anything, or the anger and you just attack whatever's nearest you, or
Ah. Yeah,
I don't know what
perhaps
anxiety would be.
I
Maybe you run
just
away.
I just thought of this while you were saying that. Like,
Sure,
yeah,
go ahead.
maybe I'm thinking out of the two options. If you want something different. One, like if they cover you completely, you turn into like just an ooze monster like they are, but
It
bigger and
controls
more,
you.
yeah, bigger and more capable and it's controlling you. Two, and I think this is like the less statistically important and but more thematically neat is
Hmm.
it doesn't kill you. It just gives you a permanent, like what you were saying earlier, like a permanent personality trait that you can't get rid of. That like it makes one of those emotions, one of those illnesses take over. It's like maybe you're
Hmm.
not so wrathful that you're always attacking everything, but a clever DM might just be like you're interrogating a prisoner, and he'll be like, or she, or whoever will just be like, make a wisdom save, and if you fail, oh, your nice cleric just killed the guy you were interrogating. You're overcome with
Mm.
rage, or if you're normally a brave,
Yeah.
stalwart paladin, but you have been infected by these oozes,
Fearless.
even after you
Suddenly you
defeated
have
the
some fear.
Corverus, yeah, suddenly, the DM at any point can just be like, "Hey, give me a wisdom save," when they feel it's
Yeah.
appropriate.
Yeah, I was going to say I would be careful with that simply because if your players are suffering from any of that in their real life, they might hate it if their D&D is their escapism, but some people would love it because they get to find a way to actually just go and stab it and then it's gone, it's done.
Yeah, I mean,
You can actually fix it.
I feel like the greatest, like, the best part about D&D isn't necessarily escaping from all the problems of the world. It's that in D&D, all of the problems in the world can actually be solved, and you have
Yeah.
theoretically the power to solve them if the
Yeah,
campaign goes
I
on
think
long
there's
enough.
there's two schools of thought. Like some things people just don't want to have to deal with if they deal with it all the time in their real life, and some people want to resolve it. I think it just depends where you are. But that's kind of getting off topic.
It's the classic do you want patriarchy in your fantasy setting idea. Some people want to smash it literally, and other people would just rather not be part of, yeah, this world.
Imagine a world that's like it without that is
Yeah.
also very appealing.
Yeah, either way.
Yeah. Okay, well that's gone way over because we thought this would be a 5 minute video and it's been about 20 minutes, so I guess we should leave it there.
Uh, yeah. I well
Unless there's anything else important you wanted to say.
the last thing I was gonna say is I don't think we covered make it tougher very well, but like
Oh yeah, you're right. We got completely distracted. Or I
my
did.
ideas, again, I didn't want to make it too crowded, but if you need it to be tougher, obviously you can do more than just give it better AC and more health. You could add riders onto its normal attacks like bites and talon. So in addition to psychic damage, maybe it also casts. I like using spell effects because I feel like it's a built-in, you know, it's already been arbitrated. You don't have to like reinvent the wheel. So I like slow as a rider on this kind of thing. Or you can up the psychic damage. You can give it legendary actions / resistances, which I feel like should probably be the first thing you do if you want to make it tougher, because you don't have to mess with any
Yeah,
mechanics besides just adding those attacks.
because
And
I was saying it should be immune to stun, and you were like, no, but this is just around the time when monks getting their stun, so it'd be fun for them to be
yeah,
able to stun it.
so if you
So
hate your monk, go ahead and give it immunity to stun. It's completely valid. You don't need a reason to be immune to stun. Just tough things, sometimes they're immune. Yeah, you can bump up its immunities. Oh, also, another thing that's malleable is that I gave it somewhat similar to the Paladin Oath of the Ancients, where they are resistant to spell damage. I gave it resistance to spell damage. That way, I feel like it encourages people to go in melee and suffer the effects of the aura, the passive aura that this thing puts out. Because,
yeah, that's
yeah,
one thing I was going to mention finally, because I thought that was a really clever little twist that you gave it, that its worst effects are an aura around it. The closer you get, the worse it is. So one of the things that you said where attacking it gives you an effect. So I think this ooze would go onto you, and whatever it's going to do would affect you when you attack it.
yeah,
But point being that the closer you get, the worse it is for you, but also the more effective you are. It's
yeah.
that good risk reward balance.
And then,
And
like,
also, that reminds me, that might be what you were just about to say. You put in the description that it picks off the weakest, easiest looking prey. So, probably, mostly, that's going to be your spellcaster at the back, and it can do
yeah,
like a big old flying leap and
yeah,
get to
just,
them.
it can't
So,
fly, like, forever, but it can be quick. It's a fast guy.
yeah.
So, yeah, it can go and pick off that spellcaster, which, at that point, that's a good way to make people overcome their fears by going into that aura. Or, if they don't wanna, then the fighter or the barbarian or whoever finally has an excuse to use that short bow they've been hoarding in their inventory for
So,
ages. Because
suddenly, those 7 to 10 javelins they've been carrying on them that no one's ever noticed before could be pulled out of thin air.
yeah, no one knows where they're being stored, but they have them for sure. They,
Yeah.
yep,
My point was though, I really like that it's going to be get in the thick of it with your weakest members and really force people not to just be I cast Eldritch Blast, I do this. Like not
yeah,
only fighting it, you're scrambling to get your people that can't stand toe to toe with them out, your people that can in, and deal with the effects of that. I think that's a nice like secondary objective kind of thing going on.
yeah, exactly. Because here you can't really rely on positioning to always be what determines what a thing is going for.
Mm.
You know, you'll have to get creative. You'll have to stop it from flying, or grapple it if you don't want it to come for your caster again.
Maybe that would be. It doesn't really make sense that it would have flyby, but maybe if you did want to up its difficulty again, you could maybe have it have flyby so it can swoop in on people without just getting destroyed.
With the like addendum or
Addendum.
addendum that it doesn't use it to escape. It uses it to charge, And like that doesn't
Yes,
have to be
yes,
a
that's what I was
solid
thinking
thing in the
about.
rules. It's just play it like that, because it shouldn't be concerned about its own life. It will come back.
Oh, okay. So it's never going to run away. It's just going to try and take as many down with it as possible.
I think so, yeah. I think it's out to kill.
Wait, so it doesn't just pick off the one weakest member and then leave?
No, yeah, it goes for them first.
Oh, okay. So it tries to take out the whole lot.
I mean, I think so, because it comes back to
Because
life.
I quite like that it goes in and takes out the the member that it thinks is most vulnerable in that moment and then leaves.
Okay. Yeah, that's also
And then
cool.
it might come back and get the next weakest. Or if they resurrect them, that same one
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, just keep getting them. Yeah.
Like it's sated with one death, maybe.
Yeah,
And
either way is a good approach.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I usually am a fan of having things run away when they've tactically won, by
If
in
you
this case,
can.
killing the weakest member.
Unless your
Or
paladin does 193 damage on the next round.
unless you have a paladin or a monk on in your party, in which case they will catch them somehow. But
Anyway,
yeah, so either way
I think
works.
we've covered everything now, right?
The connections and seeds was another thing, and
Oh yeah,
finding that trinket I think is the most solid way. But you could
yeah.
also like happen upon the forest where like in the midst of a beast attack, these people are shredded or whatever. There's also this ooze all over like the plants and
Slimy
so maybe
trails.
yeah, and maybe these oozes like find a nice tree and corrupt it.
That'd be quite cool, actually, because if you saw like an oil slick in a forest, you would not think, it's a crow. So
Yeah,
it'd be a nice surprise to the mystery.
you'd be like,
You were also
dang,
thinking about, oh, go on.
where's BP? They're around here somewhere.
I was trying to think of a medieval-y version of what BP could be,
Bugbear petroleum.
but um, I wanted to ask if they have rubber, but that's gonna go on a whole other.
That's good tangent. I could tangent for that about
Yeah,
that for hours.
let's not. Uh, the only other thing was that you also mentioned that maybe you'd find like diagrams and stuff in like a wizard's tower of where they were either trying to recreate it or summon
Yeah.
it, or maybe they made it. But yeah,
This is because this is a powerful thing if you can find a way to control it. It's fearless. It has all these supernatural
mm,
abilities, terrifying, and it's immortal. Unless you break the curse. So if you controlled it perfectly somehow, it would be a one heck of a boon. So that's
there's
a good thing
probably
for
also I was gonna say legends of like a ruler who lost their kingdom because they were consumed by the Corverus. Or,
yeah.
it was in their courts or preying on their court, and it's like the infectious diseasiness of it got around and they couldn't rule anymore. Some sort of
Yeah.
myth or legend, anyway.
They're yeah, and
Many.
it could even be like wherever the seed is, the person who was trying to control it, maybe they were trying to do it for a good reason. Like if I can control it, that means it's not going to go out and wreck people anymore because they don't
Mm.
know they don't even know it's cursed. Like
They
it's a,
just wanted a little pet Corverus.
yeah, just a little guy.
Okay,
D-
we very much have to stop now because it's going to be really long.
okay, well, yeah, we'll stop.
Okay.
Real quick, does each of the heads have its own name?
No, I don't know. You did the writing. I just drew it.
Okay, I feel like if it was your pet, then yes. I don't know. All right, we'll stop.
Oh, you mean if it was your pet?
Yeah.
Uh, yes, definitely.
All right.
Definitely. Okay, thanks everybody for sticking around this long if you did. We're going to do this again. Maybe it'll be less all over the place. Maybe this was okay. I don't know.
I'm
Let
not
us know
making
what
any
you liked or not
promises.
liked. Yeah, that's a good point. It will always be all over the place. And that's it. We're done.
Bye.
Bye.